News this evening, mercenary headers blamed for escalating clashes in various communities. Rights groups petition NSA over the Villa Estate fraud case. JAM registrar fights tears, apologizes for errors in 2025 UTME. On the foreign scene, US President Trump announces deals with Qatar. I am Kala Dakuru Batabo. We will go for a quick commercial. When we return, the news in detail.
Prince Chibudo Munche.
Back now, the news in detail. A member of the state government's committee on resolving the farmer-header clashes, Nasser Uor, says a lack of awareness of the open grazing law as well as the absence of effective law enforcement to ensure its implementation are key reasons behind the ongoing farmer-header conflicts in some parts of Rivers State. Speaking on Nigeria Info's Morning Crossfire, Uor explained that the failure to properly educate the public on the law has contributed to misunderstandings and regulations or misunderstandings and violations. He said the mercenary headers who do not adhere to local customs and regulations are largely responsible for the escalation of clashes between farmers and headers in rural communities. Uor said headers carrying out the operation of open grazing varies. It described the headers contributing to the farmer headers clashes in the rural communities as mercenary headers. The Muslim cleric, while sharing the committee's recommendations aimed at promoting peace and finding sustainable solutions to the farmer header conflict, advocated for the establishment of a permanent agency to handle the crisis. Moving on, a coalition of human rights groups and community-based organizations in the Niger Delta has petitioned the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, over the alleged Villa Estate housing fraud. Reading a communique on behalf of the group, project coordinator of the Homeland Awareness and Sensitization Initiative, Mr. Charles Inkotaria, said they are demanding justice for victims of the scheme. Inkotaria said the victims are mostly low-income earners who, he said, invested their life savings. He accused Nigeria police of unprofessional conduct in handling the matter and claimed the police failed to rearrest the suspects after they allegedly jumped bail in 2019. Mr. Inkutari said the victims have been left stranded and called on the National Security Advisor and other relevant authorities to intervene and ensure justice is served. The leader of the victims, Michael Ezedike, spoke. Some of the victims were seen carrying placards with inscriptions like "Police, stop playing with the lives of victims defrauded by the villa." Nigerian police connived with the villa to jump bail and escape trial, and we need justice, not delayed tactics. They spoke to journalists. Moving on, as the state of emergency declared in Rivers State by the President Bola Tinubu nears 2 months, a public affairs analyst, Mr. Obinwa Akanwa, says the SDD minister, Nyesom Wike, has not shown enough sincerity to make Governor Fubara supporters believe he truly wants peace in Rivers State. Mr. Akanwa said this during an interview with correspondent Soibi Oruwari. He was reacting to recent comments made by the FCT minister, who said he is ready to make peace to end the state of emergency in the state. Mr. Akanwa, while speaking further on the ongoing crisis within the PDP, blamed the party for allowing the FCT minister to act without consequences, saying the party has allowed him to take it for granted. Now, an analyst, Mr. Liboros Oshoma, says former Minister of Transportation Chibuike Amechi's recent comments about confronting the presidency show that true democracy existed during his time in office. Oshoma told correspondent Soibi Oruwari that Amechi and his fellow governors were able to speak out back then because former President Goodluck Jonathan allowed democracy to flourish, and not because of how Amechi presented it.
As a president who understands the tenets of democracy, which is Goodluck Jonathan, and didn't use most of the presidential powers he had against the then governor. But today, we have a president whose style of politics is different. If this president were the president under Amechi, I bet half of the things that he did under Jonathan, they wouldn't have been able to try it, because this man understands what it means to use power. You had Goodluck Jonathan, who was a Democrat. So it wasn't because the Amechi were too powerful. It was because they took advantage of a man who saw, democracy as opportunity for everybody to participate.
Mr. Oshoma also encouraged Nigerians to start supporting politicians who are truly committed to practicing real democracy.
We don't practice democracy really, but rather dictatorship of the ruling class against those that they are ruling. Every governor would want to pocket the state house of assembly, the same way every president would pocket the National Assembly and the governors. My advice to Nigerians is that we look beyond party, vote in people, credible people who will be able to truly say, yes, let's practice democracy. People who will allow others have their say, just like we had under Goodluck Jonathan. Even though I'm not saying Goodluck Jonathan was the best, but you could see that he had enormous power as president, but he didn't use them the way we've seen Obasanjo, Tinubu doing. We also saw Buhari.
But an Abuja-based political analyst, Tom Oga, disagreed with Amechi's claims. He said the political environment today is very different from what it used to be.
And he has forgotten that the dynamics of politics in those days are not the same as the dynamics of today. He's partisan, and I think he's trying to exonerate himself from the ruts of the political rot that's on ground today. I don't blame him. Who go talk say Mama soup no sweet? He's trying to exonerate himself to say in our time it was better. Well, okay, to be very, very fair with him, that is what human beings always say. You may be worse than the people that are on ground now, but you always want to refer to in our time.
Recall that the former Rivers State Governor Chibuike Amechi, while speaking at the public launch of Sule Lamido's autobiography titled Being True to Myself, said that if he and former Governor Lamido were still in power, they would have stood up to President Bola Tinubu over the country's current problems. The coordinator of Transition Monitoring Group in Rivers State, Mr. Nathaniel Akpos, has called on INEC and the National Assembly to ensure that the proposed electoral reform includes electronic transmission of election results. Recall that INEC Chairman Professor Mahmood Yakubu on Monday assured that there would be electoral reforms before the 2027 general elections. Speaking with correspondent Oyekachi Wonsu, Akpos advised INEC chairman and lawmakers to pay attention to the issues that will improve the electoral system.
Intent behind this should be what all Nigerians will welcome. Very importantly, listening to the INEC chairman, you will hear the things that bothers Nigerians are not what they are mentioning right now. They are mentioning things that are still particular to political parties when they are supposed to submit names of candidates and when they are not supposed to submit names of candidates, when they are supposed to appoint resident electoral commissioners and when they are not supposed. What Nigerians want is the direct electronic transmission of results. If all these are not captured in this reform, all what they are doing will still amount to a mirage.
Mr. Akpos also believes that if the country's electoral system is reformed, Nigerians would not be worried about the appointment of acquaintances of politicians as resident electoral commissioners.
Ordinarily, the law does not permit INEC official to be a card-carrying member of any political party in Nigeria. If such a person is, that person is automatically disqualified. However, those may not be our problem. If the Electoral Act of 2023 is amended to carry out the real intentions of our elections, then we don't have any problem. That may not be a challenge, but it's not what is expected. No INEC official is expected to be a member of any political party.
We'll go for a quick break. When we return, the rest of the news.
Are you having problems listening to us via the Nigeria Info app? Experiencing any bugs?
We'll start with this news again. A coalition of human rights groups and community-based organizations in the Niger Delta has petitioned the National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu over the alleged Villa Estate housing fraud. Reading a communique on behalf of the group, project coordinator of the Homeland Awareness and Sensitization Initiative, Mr. Charles Inkutaria, said they are demanding justice for victims of the scheme. Inkutaria said the victims are mostly low-income earners who, he said, invested their life savings. He accused the Nigerian police of unprofessional conduct in handling the matter and claimed the police failed to rearrest the suspects after they allegedly jumped bail in 2019.
Today, victims are stranded and in despair. Their legal proceedings have become a force characterized by endless adjournment. The absence of prosecutors had revealed a deeper systematic rot and lack of will to pursue justice. The Nigerian police force, which ought to be at the forefront of upholding the law, has regrettably contributed to the collapse of trust in the justice system in the case.
Mr. Inkutaria said the victims have been left stranded and called on the National Security Advisor and other relevant authorities to intervene and ensure justice is served.
We therefore urgently call on the National Security Advisor, the Attorney General, Bar Association, and all well-meaning citizens and organizations to take immediate and decisive actions to reassign the case to an independent and competent prosecutor with no affiliation to the accused. Justice delay is justice denied.
A political analyst, Mr. Shamsuddin Ibrahim, says the growing number of public endorsements for President Bola Tinubu's second term by politicians is a sign that Nigeria's democracy may be leaning towards a one-party system. Ibrahim shared this view in an interview with correspondent Zoibi Oruwari. He was reacting to the recent endorsement of President Tinubu by former First Lady Patience Jonathan. He said such endorsements are not healthy for the country's democracy and could weaken political competition and accountability.
The public endorsement of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu by former First Lady Dame Patience Jonathan underscores this concern. Might seem like a gesture of unity, but they are emblematic of a deeper issue, the erosion of critical opposition and growing normalization of cross-party alliances, driving more by political survival than ideological conviction. While political collaboration is not inherently bad, the near total lack of resistance or scrutiny from former power blocs raises questions about the robustness of Nigeria's political institutions.
Mr. Ibrahim also warned of the effects of such political endorsements.
This is not just about one endorsement, it is about subtle but steady drift toward a political climate where opposition is muted, dissent is sidelined, and electoral contents are reduced to ceremonial rubber stamp. If prominent figures across party lines continue to throw their weight behind a single political agenda, then voters are left with no real choice, and that is not democracy. For a country as diverse, dynamic, and often volatile as Nigeria, such one-party loyalty, no matter how well-dressed, it is not just unfortunate, it is dangerous.
On the other hand, the public affairs analyst based in Abuja, Ejiro Daniel, disagreed. He said the endorsements are simply part of political strategy and do not mean Nigeria is moving towards a one-party system.
You did not do your house well and you are trying to blame people for your own problems, then Nigeria do not see it as a one-party state. And I don't know why people are not saying the obvious, and you quick to accuse somebody that is coming to spoil your party. So if you don't do your own well, you start complaining, oh, they rigged the election. When it favors you, it's okay. But the day it doesn't favor you, it is being rigged. Look at the politics in Nigeria. When the parties is favored in a certain area, it is free and fair. When they are not favored in the other area, they have rigged them.
Mr. Daniel pointed out that the PDP has also benefited from similar political movements in the past. He advised the party's leadership to focus on resolving its internal issues instead of blaming defections and endorsements.
Now, they have issues within their party. Up to this moment, it is yet to be resolved. And nobody is saying that. And whether you like it or not, politicians will always look for their own interest, not for the interest of the masses. It's for their own interest. No permanent enemy, but permanent interest. When they lose, they will ask the masses to come to their aid. When they are winning, oh, is the party, the people have decided. But when they lose election or they lose any fight, oh, the people should come. They are oppressing us. It is not right. This is a game. Politics is all about game.
On to education now. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, has admitted that there were errors that affected the performance of candidates during the 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination held across different centers in the country. The registrar, Ishak Oloyede, who disclosed this during a media briefing in Abuja today, also broke down in tears while admitting to the errors. He also announced that about 379,997 candidates in the just concluded academic exercise would retake the examination.
Once again, we apologize and assure you that this incident represents a significant setback. We remain committed to emerging stronger in our core values of transparency, fairness, and equity. It is our culture to admit error because we know that in spite of the best of our efforts, we are human. We are not perfect.
In other news, the State High Court in Okei has annulled the recognition of Godwin Ogu as the Onye Ishiaguru of Olakwo clan. Recall that in 2023, the Rivers State government issued a certificate of office recognizing Ogu as a monarch, but in a judgment delivered by Justice G.V. Ogbamanu, On May the 9th, 2025, the court gave a perpetual injunction restraining Godwin Ogu from parading as Onyishi Aguru and chairman of Ulakwo Clan, Council of Traditional Rulers and Chiefs, or any other Council of Chiefs in Eche local government area. The court, in a suit with number OHC 180CS 2024, held that the purported certificate and every other action relating to the recognition are unlawful. It said Ulakwo Clan and the chieftaincy stool of Onyishi Aguru of Ulakwo Clan never existed in Eche, adding that the recognition was inconsistent with the Rivers State Traditional Rulers Law of 2015. Justice Obomanu also awarded a cost of 500,000 naira against Ogu in favor of the Onyishi Aguru of Ulakwo and Umuselem clan, Eze Kenwala, who is the claimant in the suits. A distinguished Rivers State corporate and business mogul, Dumodolu Briggs, has been awarded the prestigious Lifetime African Achievement Award by the Millennium Excellence Foundation in recognition of his leadership, service, and contributions to Africa unity and development. In a statement by his media team, the prominent statesman and leader Lulu Briggs was presented with the Lifetime African Achievement Award in Traditional Leadership and Business Excellence category in a grand and very colorful ceremony to commemorate the 25th anniversary celebration of the foundation, which held at the Manya Palace in Kumasi, Ghana over the weekend. The statement said other notable Nigerians recognized at the event included President Bola Tinubu, Dr. Benedict Orama, President of the African Export-Import Bank, Governor Umar Eno of Akwa Ibom State, and Abdul Samad Rabiu, Chairman of Bua Group. Dumodolu Briggs, a known global businessman, joins the list of distinguished leaders who are past laureates of the Lifetime Africa Achievement Award, such as Archbishop Desmond Tutu, Wole Soyinka, President Cyril Ramaphosa, and Dr. Mo Ibrahim, among others. Now, let's take a look at the foreign stories.
The world.
U.S. President Donald Trump has announced a series of deals with Qatar, including a record order of Boeing jets on the second leg of his 4-day Middle East tour. Before flying to Doha, Trump met the Syrian president in Riyadh, urging Ahmed al-Sharaa to normalize relations with Israel. The meeting came after Trump lifted sanctions on Syria, saying it would give them a chance at greatness.
This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
On the news this evening, you heard mercenary herders have been blamed for escalating farmer-herder clashes in various communities. A rights group has petitioned the NSA over alleged Villa Estate housing fraud. An analyst has doubted FCT Minister Wike's commitment to peace in Rivers crisis. JAM registrar 4 tears as he apologized for errors in the 2025 UTME. On the foreign scene, U.S. President Trump has announced deals with Qatar. The news was edited by Marta Okere. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808-721-7215. I am Kalada Kuru Batubo.